Good Tuesday evening, Southeast Texas. Welcome to 12 News Plus. We're going to be taking an in-depth look at your 7-day forecast, showing you things that I just don't have time to show you in a normal weathercast because we got 15 minutes to talk about. So here's our weather headlines. Looks like a fairly quiet 7-day weather pattern. Slight chance coming up on Wednesday. We're talking maybe a 20% coverage, highs low to mid 90s. High pressure temporarily kind of nosing into our area and then weakening as we head towards the end of the week. Towards the end of the week, typical summertime routine, about a 30% coverage each afternoon. Now over the weekend, we're going to be watching, and we showed this yesterday, maybe an upper level disturbance coming in off the Gulf, and that may increase rain chances just a tad over normal. So about a 30, maybe 40% coverage. Certainly surprises are possible when we get higher chances, but that's what we're looking at right now. And then back to typical summertime routine. You know, when I grew up here in the 70s and 80s, it was always about a 30% coverage in the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy to partly sunny skies, and the highs in the lower 90s. That's what we're expecting late this week and early next week across Southeast Texas. The last few years, we've had hot summers, hot, dry summers. So a lot of you may not realize that this is a fairly wet location as we get some 60 inches of rain a year, making Southeast Texas probably the wettest part of the state. So as you can see, we're looking at slightly below normal temperatures coming up the next 7 days. Normally, this is the hottest time of the year right on through August the 13th, where our normal afternoon high should be around 94. We're forecasting 92 to 93 here in Beaumont, so just a little bit below normal. Otherwise, as far as rainfall, we'll go with a 20% Wednesday, and again, normal rain chances this time of year, about a 30% coverage coming up Thursday and Friday. Saturday, maybe Sunday, we'll be watching an upper level disturbance move through, so a 30, maybe 40% coverage, and then back to typical 30% coverages coming up Monday and Tuesday. As far as moisture in the atmosphere, again, we track this, and as you can see, fairly low now, but it will be going up as we head on in to late this weekend, especially this weekend, as you can see, and that may mean little better coverages of rain across our area compared to what we're expecting the next couple of days. Otherwise, we'll go with a 20% coverage coming up tomorrow in Beaumont. East winds in the morning, real light, becoming south in the afternoon. We'll be watching the front that's along the coastline kind of move back to the north as a warm front tomorrow afternoon. That's why our winds will go back south. Otherwise, normally I would go probably about a 30% coverage, but because the high is going to be over us, yeah, there's a lot of variables in forecasting weather, but because the high is over our area coming up tomorrow, we'll keep it at a 20% coverage. Otherwise, as you can see, not a bad morning. I expect about 74. I'm going to go cooler than the modeling, and about 93 coming up tomorrow afternoon with about 20% coverage. I think modeling is too wet. Again, that was my forecast. This is the modeling, and it's showing about a 30 to 40% coverage. So here's my forecast for the lakes area. Again, about a 20% coverage of very late afternoon showers, maybe thunderstorms, light east winds in the morning, turning southerly in the afternoon as that warm front lifts north of your area. I think you can get up to about 94 coming up tomorrow. Let's see what the model shows. Yeah, it shows mid 90s. It gets a little warm. 20% coverage. Now I like that forecast, and that's what we pretty much have, except for in the morning. Yes, I'm being picky. We're going to go with the mid to upper 60s to near 70s. So the model is too warm in the morning, and it's too warm tomorrow afternoon, in my opinion. Otherwise, I showed this earlier. We've been watching the cumulus field, and you can see the clouds moving off towards the south and west. That's because we've got northeasterly winds behind this weak front. See how the motion of the clouds? Those clouds are moving towards the southwest, and that's because of this stalled front along the coastline. So little drier air has filtered on into the area. Look at the humidity levels. Little better. You know, it's not November levels, but not bad for August, making it feel a little bit cooler or a little less humid across Southeast Texas. Across the state, we have a northerly flow around the high. Remember, the high is over and towards West Texas in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You see the wind circulating around that high, which is probably right around there in the upper levels. See these maps, these images, are these symbols. Those are surface features. I'm talking about above this. That's in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So the flow is around that high, and that's what helped push that front into our area. So let's take a look at high-res modeling and see what it shows for tomorrow. Tonight, we expect a quiet night across southeast Texas as that front has pushed all the way to the coastline. So it could be a little bit cooler up in the lakes area coming up tomorrow morning with lows in the middle to upper 60s to near 70. Yeah, it looks pretty quiet as we head towards tomorrow morning. Remember I pointed out, this is probably going to be too warm. We're going to go with the mid to upper 60s to maybe around 70 in the lakes, the mid 70s for the most part in the triangle. Could see some coastal showers in the morning and about a 20% coverage. And that's because that front is going to be slowly working away from the coastline and backing up towards the north as a warm front as we head towards tomorrow afternoon. But as you can see, not that big a chance of shower and thunderstorm activity coming up tomorrow. And as we head towards tomorrow evening, that front should be in the lakes area by tomorrow afternoon, because you can see the southerly winds and higher amounts of humidity. So it will be more humid up towards Silsbee, Kirbyville, and even in Beaumont coming up tomorrow afternoon than what we saw this afternoon because of the southerly flow and that warm front moving to the north. Otherwise, again, the flow around that high in the upper levels of the atmosphere help push the front towards the coastline earlier or late last night. Let me get my pencil. So the front is basically right along the coastline. I wonder why my pencil's not working. Let's try that one more time. So the front is basically along, there we go, right along the coastline. And that's again because of the flow around high pressure. We have a northerly flow aloft, and that helped push the front down into our area. Okay? Now tomorrow, now look at the edge of this high. Yeah, the high is over at El Paso. There's the edge of the high in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Watch where it goes. Yeah, it builds over our area coming up and actually strengthens over towards West Texas. So yeah, they're going to see triple digits out over towards the Panhandle in West Texas, San Angelo, probably into Central Texas tomorrow. So that high will be nosing into our area for one day. So that means lower chances of rain despite that front heading back to the north as a warm front. Normally with a front going through your area, I would probably go a 30% coverage, but because the high is going to be on us, it looks like only a 20% coverage. Now, and look what happens towards Friday. The edge of the high weakens and goes all the way back over into West Texas. And so we'll be seeing disturbances coming around the high in a clockwise fashion. And those disturbances, that's what these are right here. See that? Those are disturbances. They cause lift in the atmosphere. But it looks like the moisture, the real deep moisture, the greens, you can see that right there, are out into the Gulf, off towards our east. That's where the deep moisture is. So you're looking at moisture, and you're also looking at upper level disturbances. You need moisture and disturbances to create shower and thunderstorm activity. This one coming in on Friday may not have a lot of moisture to work with, so I can't go more than about a 30% coverage. But there's no capping, so it should be about a 30% coverage. And there you go. Disturbances working into the area Saturday and this weekend. See that trough? That's a disturbance, and then you've got a trough here. So you got several things in the atmosphere to help produce showers and thunderstorms. But again, the deepest moisture is off towards our east, so I don't expect heavy rainfall, but we do expect about a scattering of about a 30 to 40% coverage. That seems reasonable at this point. And as you can see, this is what we call an inverted trough. I'm throwing a lot of terms at you, but I'm also explaining them to you. You know what a normal trough is, right? Say in the upper levels, you see a trough of low pressure out in West Texas, back up over into Canada. That trough in the jet stream, that's a normal trough. That's what brings cold fronts into our area. This one, though, is upside down. See that right there? This is what we call an inverted trough. And this is what we normally see during the summertime. This is going to bring probably a little more favorable wind direction and moisture into our area as we head towards late in the forecast say towards Monday, Tuesday. The winds will be more southerly, so we do expect sea breeze activity. So pretty typical for this time of year. In the tropics, don't think we're going to have to worry about this one. Obviously, Dexter's outbound, not a problem there. And we continue to think that this is going to retrack or head back off towards the northeast. So basically, what I'm saying is that obviously Dexter's not an issue. I don't think this is going to be an issue because I think this is going to go back off towards the north and east. So this one's an X, this one's an X, and this one's an X. So out of those two disturbances and Dexter, I don't think we have anything to worry about in the Gulf for the next 7 days as far as that goes. And as you can see, yeah, the dust is thinning a little bit, but another big surge coming off as we head on in towards Sunday of next week. So that's some good news. Otherwise, on the Gulf tomorrow, looking at mostly smooth seas around a foot. We'll see southeast winds at 5 knots. Water temperature currently 92 degrees. We have one high tide tomorrow, and that's at 4:24 a.m. And look at the times, the sunrise and sunsets. The days are getting shorter. Instead of it being 8:20, like in the middle of summertime, as we head towards the end of summertime, now getting closer to 8 o'clock for sunset. So tonight looks mostly clear, not a bad night. We'll go about the mid to upper 60s to around 70 in the lakes. Lower 70s, Silsbee and Lumberton, and the mid 70s here in the Triangle. Light south winds will go calm here in the Triangle. Then for tomorrow, looks fairly straightforward. We'll go with a 20% coverage, highs 91, 92, to maybe as warm as 94 degrees up in the lakes area. Heat indices around the triple digits. So again, if you work outside for a living, you know the drill. This is nothing new. Just be smart about taking those breaks and keeping hydrated. The UV index will be very high, and we're looking at light south winds developing during the afternoon. So again, partly cloudy, maybe partly sunny skies. 20% coverage of afternoon, mainly afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. Highs lower 90s in the Triangle, mid 90s up in the lakes area. Taking a look at your weather impacts 7-day forecast. Again, that 20% coverage is because of high pressure over our area, even though the front is lifting back to the north. We'll just go with 20% coverage. And then as we work on into Thursday and Friday, weak disturbances, unfavorable wind directions, but still moisture in the atmosphere. We'll keep a 30% coverage, which is pretty normal for this time of year. You know, as we head towards the weekend, though, we'll be watching that upside down trough. We call it inverted trough. That may bring us a little better chance, a little uptick in shower and thunderstorm activity over the weekend with highs in the lower 90s. Again, this is the hottest time of the year all the way to August 13th. We should be about 94 degrees. This is climatologically speaking the hottest part of the summer, and we're a little bit below that. Nothing crazy, but still, it's still hot, and it could be hotter this time of year. We've certainly seen that in the past several summers. Now, Monday into Tuesday, the mechanisms are going to change that cause the potential for shower and thunderstorm activity. This is all due to upper level disturbances coming on in. Same thing Thursday and Friday. Monday and Tuesday, the winds become more favorable off the Gulf. The wind speed and the wind direction will be coming off the Gulf. So it'll be more of a sea breezy type scenario to where we get the weather coming developing along Highway 73 and then moving north as you go into the afternoon hours.